And so I believe on her side the children was a little bit more negative on my behalf because of who I said I was. And they couldn't see it.
I beg to differ. You know, that's not
my
true.
opinion.
That's your opinion. And I respect that.
Okay.
Right.
But I know that it's not true.
Okay. Well, I accept that.
Well, I would say, you know, what I hear a lot about a relationship and some of the things that causes, you know, a recipe for it not to work is financial constraints. Did any of you guys suffer?
Oh, yes.
I mean, because it's real life. I mean, everybody falls on hard times and has those hardships. But as you were saying, you worked multiple jobs, but that would mean you, at a point in time, have financial constraints, or what it was just you wanted to work 2 jobs to be that provider?
Well, I want to be that provider, you know, and I had high, you know, potential. I want my daughter to have everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't want her to suffer from nothing. I wanted her to have the best of anything. So I had to go out there and do it. So, if it take 2 jobs to get the job done,
There you go.
I did the 2 jobs.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Financial constraints in the marriage?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Of course, financial is going to be a big part of any marriage. But when you begin to look at nothing but finances, you lose the focus on studying one another. You look at, you begin to look not at the emotions and the feelings of the party. A marriage has to be based on each one studying each one on an equal basis, taking yourself out of the way and putting the other person's self in the way so that you can please that person.
But what does that have to do with finance?
Finances, well, when there's no finances coming in the house, there's no togetherness in nowhere in the house. As the world would say, if the woman's unhappy in the house, the whole house is upset. And mostly that's what finances do, upset the whole house in every area. You cannot begin to separate finances and think that the finances is the only part. Finances just take away everything.
Okay, so you're saying as far as bringing the money together, not having like a divided household?
Yes.
Because I'm just trying.
If one person is making all the money, whether it's male or female, there is something going on in that person's life about the other one not bringing in some income too.
So the breadwinner factor.
That's it.
Who's being the breadwinner?
That's
Who's
it.
bringing home the bacon, whether it's male or female? What would you do different?
What would I do different?
Yeah.
Today, I would do it a whole lot of difference. First of all, we would have to be equally yoked in the finances. We would have to be equally yoked in the Spirit of God, the Word, walking in the Word, side by side in the ministry. And that's the bottom line. We'd have to do it all together. There's no lagging behind, period.
Coming on one accord.
That's right, period. It has to be done that way.
What would you do different if you
disagree.
were remarried?
Since I got older, and I done went through so many changes, you know, I just disagree in what he's saying. I mean, you know, I got my opinion.
What do you disagree
What
with?
actually do?
You know, I disagree on that. You know, you got to have. You know, she got to make the same amount of money you make. You know.
No, I didn't say it like that. I didn't say it like that.
Well,
I
okay.
didn't say,
It was something to that derivative.
That's what I'm trying
okay.
to say.
Well, let's put it this way then. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, there's a victorious woman there.
Virtuous.
A virtuous woman there. That woman done most of the work while the man sat to where he was supposed to be sitting in the spiritual realm. And she was blessed through what he was doing. Okay? So let's not take the financial thing in the marriage and just put it on the man.
Okay.
Let's put it into the household to where if my qualifications don't bring in as much money as per se you or you, but don't let me just sit around the house and just be a housewarmer. This is what I'm saying. We have to be able to come together and say, well, this is the way it is. Let's use what we have.
Okay. Now, Ms. Patricia, I want to know, because I know you say that you still consider yourself married to Mr. David, but if you had an opportunity to meet somebody else and you would get married again, what would you do different?
What would I do different? Well, first of all, I'd have to know a whole lot. I'd have to know him a lot longer than I knew my husband, my ex-husband,
So just
before I married him. And of course, he would definitely have to be in the world. I'm not in the world. He need to be of Christ, in Christ, operating, going to attending some church. Have a relationship with God.
Right.
And understand that just because you're the man, doesn't mean that you know it all.
Right. So understanding the meaning of head and tail, because it's not necessarily just being the head of household and you're the tail as the woman.
Well,
it's
see,
just having
that
that's
Yeah,
it.
tail don't even- that head and tail is not
it's
even-
not even about
it's not a
man
head
and
and
woman
tail.
relationships. The head and the tail.
It's equal.
That's talking about that head and the tail is talking about I'm the head. I can operate in the Lord myself. I'm the head. The devil is the tail.
Right, but I'm
I'm the
saying,
head.
in as far as a marriage, that's a commonly used analogy, head and tail. And I think that's the misconception that people have, that the husband is the head and the wife is the tail. She's the supporter. He brings the bacon. She does the housework. She cooks. I mean, that's just a very, if you will, 1940s mentality. But what Mr. David is saying, that if the woman does make more money, he wants to be held as an equal if he's making less than that.
Well, it's not even about making less money. It's about what's being done.
Well, that would bring
What's
the
being done.
financial constraints.
Let's take it to another level.
Let's
here.
take it to
Another level
Would-
here, because
would-
head and
what would
tail
you-
is nowhere in a
it's
relationship.
not, that was just an analogy. What I would take it to is, what would you say for somebody that's trying to get married? What type of advice would you give to a young person, such as myself, or anybody that says, hey, I want to get married? What advice would you give them?
I would advise you to wait on God, because God will send the man. Because I truly believe that God had sent this man to me, and our relationship, we grew. I don't think we would have grown the way we have if we had not been together.
Exactly.
I don't believe it.
I agree.
We wouldn't have grown in the Word of God to the point that we're at.
I agree with that.
There's just no way it would have happened.
Okay.
And and so you're talking about being equally yoked when we met. Well, we were.
But what advice would you give to somebody?
To be yoked one unto the other, to be yoked, and to make sure that you have your finances are in a place where you're okay, and that so that's not an issue with your marriage.
Well, I would say, what if somebody doesn't know what evenly yoked means? What would your advice be? Because there might be some that...
My advice would be, if they are a Christian or calling themselves a child of God, that they check the Word.
Yeah, but if for somebody who's not.
From somebody who's not, if you're a marriage outside of God, it's just not a marriage.
Okay.
And it just does. If it's not ordained by God, it's not.
And that's your opinion. That's good. Okay. Michael?
Well, in this generation now, the first thing you got to bring in play is that, when I was young, out there, I didn't even know what love was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, love. What is love?
Okay. What is it?
Love, to me, it's like, God is love. So you're gonna have to start with Him first.
Start with God.
And then, you ask God to work on in your heart so you can make this woman or whoever you get married to work. So, why I disagree in the way that people do stuff now, if I really love you, I won't care if you're making $2 or $3.
So that's the advice you would give to somebody?
I mean, I just want y'all to just know each other for love, not for what you got.
Right.
And it'd be a beautiful thing.
Because that comes and goes.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what our audience members would think. If we could have at this time an audience member come up, if you have any questions or comments, to kind of say what you think about your opinion, as what our panel is discussing, about marriage, and who you would direct that question to.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for the three of y'all. One, you're a pastor, right? Pastor
David, yes.
David.
Yeah.
Okay, you made a statement earlier about you didn't want to go to counseling. Being a man of God and but in the church, should they teach us when you have a problem that you should get counsel? So why you as a pastor did not want to seek counseling for you and your wife?
Well, as a
Good
pastor,
question.
as a pastor, I feel if we were truly equally yoked in the Word, we could have opened up the Bible and we could have went through the Bible, and be it that God is God now, he could have worked this marriage out. But that never took place. That's what I mean. That's what I
We'll
mean
get to you in a
when
moment,
when I say about counseling. First, let's do the counseling in the Spirit of God through His Word first, and see if we can come into an agreement in the Word. And then, if that wouldn't have worked, then maybe I could consider going outside to another pastor.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
I can
I'm not here to debate that.
I can rebut on that.
Okay, I have a question for you as well. Okay, by your husband, ex-husband, being a pastor, and why y'all two together did not come together, as he said, to like work it out?
Because I did that. I did what I thought was my part in trying to work this relationship out.
Okay.
I was not heard. I was not heard, and whenever I brought the word, it was not received. So and the reason I say was not received because there was no change.
Oh, I see.
Okay, and because there are definitely some things that men are required to do in a marriage with their wife, regardless of whether or not they're a pastor or a minister or whatever. There are certain requirements that you have to do to keep your home intact.
Okay.
You know.
Would y'all two marry again?
No.
I mean, and you stated, Trish, that you were still married to him. And what?
Well, see, no, I would not marry him again. I know, because I know him.
Okay.
I know him, and he knows me. I'm not going there.
So
Okay.
now, hear us, audience. She said, first of all, she said that she feels as though she's still married to me.
Right.
But now the question came about, would she remarry me? Well, see, that's a contradiction there in her statements as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I will not remarry her because it didn't work through the word the first time, and it's not going to work this time. And that's why I have nothing against her. And I pray for the best in her, in her relationships or whatever. But no, I could not remarry her at this time.
Okay, excuse me. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What's your name, sir? Michael? Okay, you had said you had been married 18 years. In the 18 years that you was married, and you made a statement that you worked 2 jobs and you wanted to just be the husband and work and had your wife just stay at home and take care of the child. So what happened that you and your wife, your ex-wife, got a divorce?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm kind of sweating on it. Don't sweat now.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm so glad to be on Real Talk. Okay, so be real with it. Huh?
Be real.
Be real. Okay. Wow, that's a good one. Okay, it's time to be real. Yeah, I like that. It's kind of, I'm making a short story, but could it be a long story?
We'll take the short story.
Short story.
We want the answer.
The
We just
question
want the
is,
answer.
is why did I get a divorce?
Yeah.
I ain't never hardly talked about this. Never have.
Okay.
So this is gonna be the first
It's
time.
groundbreaking.
All right, groundbreaking.